Stop using your ears to tune the guitar. Now, I say this with a lot of care and concern, but I think one of the big misconceptions is that you need to develop your ears to tune the guitar but on your own without any help. And I think that's just really silly. A lot of guitarists are going to disagree with me and say that, tuning the guitar by ear is one of those skill things that you need to pick up. But I feel that, especially as a complete beginner, if you don't know how to go about doing it, you're just not going to get the right pitch and the right tuning for your guitar. And worse still, because you're using your feel of how you think the pitch should be, you end up turning the string too tight and then you snap the string. I would highly recommend that you get a guitar tuner. Get a decent one, get the ones by D'Addario or good brand names. I would even dare to say that cheap guitar tuners are even better than using your ears, because if you think about it, how can you be more accurate than a digital instrument? So just use a digital instrument to just tune your strings, because the digital instrument can at least tell you how far you are from your pitch. When you use these tuners, I highly recommend you use the C mode, which is the chromatic mode, and not G for guitar. The reason why is because I find that for the guitar modes, they only tend to point or tell you how close you are to the actual pitch of the string, and it doesn't really give you a clear indication of which note you are at. So you still need to figure it out by moving back and forth a lot, which is not good for the string. With the chromatic mode, at least they'll tell you which note you are on and how far you are away from the actual note of the string. Sometimes people will say, hey, why can't I use an app like Guitar Tuner, where I can just play to the app? But for me, I grew up in an era where there were tuners that acted the same way like apps. They were just physical instruments, and I would try to tune the string. And these tuners were very heavily influenced by noises. So if you were trying to tune it in a noisy environment or there's a fan nearby, then it would affect the pitch. Whereas these tuners detect vibrations, so they tend to be a little bit unaffected by environmental noise, and I think they're a little bit more accurate. I think Guitar Tuner, the app itself, also works as if it was operating on the G guitar mode, so it doesn't really tell you how far off you are from the string, although there are the bars that tell you, but it doesn't really train your ears or train your understanding of how far you are chromatic wise, notes wise. And if you really don't have the budget for it, just use the app first and figure it out. So in what case do I use my ears to tune the guitar? I think you should use the digital tuner as much as you can until you kind of recognize the pitch of the strings. Maybe one good way of turning this around and using your ears is to try to recognize and try to identify when you're out of tune. That way you're training your ears, and then you can use the digital tuner for this. Hopefully this helps.